All right, we want to hear your hunting, fishing, and life stories. So email us at
shoot.swift.outdoors at gmail.com.
must be 18 years or older to order. Supper's ready. First podcast ever.
As you can tell, we have absolutely nothing here with us. This is bare bones.
We waited to do the podcast till we got mics. Got mics off the TikTok shop. Got one over here, one right there.
Yeah, this is the podcast for Shoot Swift. We don't know what direction we're going with it. We're just flying by the seat of our pants and gonna shoot the shit a little bit and see how it goes.
Yep. Well, I guess on our channel we haven't like introduced ourselves, done an introduction video.
We really haven't.
So
I'm Cutter Babcock.
I'm Ethan Babcock.
This is my cousin. We've kind of toyed with this idea for almost 5 years now, or maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Just figuring out something. We both love to fish, hunt, and shoot. Anything outdoors, we absolutely love it. So we're kind of bringing that to fruition with the channel and other plans that we have, which we can't talk about quite yet.
Wait, hold on. I feel like you're talking louder than we were doing in the test. Should we do it again? Should we try this as a test?
Well, if you hit pause on it, or not pause, but hit the button, I can edit it in. Well, you can always just retrieve it.
Or yeah, let's do another intro take and see what that's like. So, Shoot Swift podcast number 1.
We're gonna have to do a lot of editing because I have no idea.
Yeah.
Where we're going with this.
I don't know. It'd probably be good to just do raw footage too.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking about it. We have a Patreon. It's just not public, so we could release the fully unedited version of this.
Yeah.
So you're seeing us completely raw. There's nothing here, bare bones, butt naked.
Butt naked.
Yeah.
The only equipment we have is a phone, a stand, and 2 mics that I got off the TikTok shop. These mics, I'm pretty impressed with them for how cheap they were.
Yeah.
I think they're cool because I feel like in a lot of our videos, it'd be better if we had mics.
Yeah, because it's windy here in Texas.
Yeah.
And we've been needing something bad.
Yeah. And these seem pretty durable. I mean, I kind of put.
We need to do a field test.
Yeah. We need to just fish with them or something.
Or shoot. That'll be the real test to see how they hold up against gunfire.
That would be good. Dove season will be great, especially if we have earplugs in while dove hunting.
Yeah.
I typically don't, but I probably should.
Well, I have the headset that you can turn on and I can talk to you.
Yeah.
So, but it comes with a mic.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wonder if there's a way to get sound off of that. Or maybe the mics will do just fine,
Yeah.
We'll have to test them.
Yeah. So, we haven't really introduced ourselves on the channel. So, I'm Ethan.
I'm Cutter Babcock.
I'm Ethan Babcock. I didn't put in the last name. Cousins.
Yeah.
Texas Panhandle.
Small town, basically. Both grew up in a small town. Nothing my graduating class was 12 people.
Yeah, mine was 22, I think. But we've had this idea to do something like this for a while, especially growing up near each other. But we haven't put the plan in action, but we were also younger. And it's not like we could just, right now, if we wanted to, we could just take off and go fishing somewhere if we wanted to.
Yeah, it was tough growing up because neither of us had vehicles at the time. Or if we did, we were kind of bound to, just going to see each other for a weekend.
So I think it worked out perfect that we're both older on our own, adults, and we can just do like this, just come over and do whatever.
Yeah, I'm I'm actually really excited to see how this turns out. Um, I could be like, cue the intro, and then
Yeah,
honestly, so I do want to talk about that. Um, I love our intro.
I
I
do
love
too.
it.
I think it's sick. I
Like,
think that the like my favorite part is like when the drums are going, the
and
beat's
I'm
about to drop, and
shooting.
you're shooting that.
I
Oh
timed
my
it
gosh,
perfectly.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean the intro is just kind of like what the channel's about.
we just threw stuff together because we thought it looked cool, and
Yeah,
it's almost become like the identity of the channel. Like, if you watch the intro, that Shoot Swift.
yeah,
It's an outdoor lifestyle brand. That's what we are.
that's pretty. It's a cool intro. I like it a lot. I think the logo's cool. It just like so. I guess just to say how it all started, we were at your house not too long ago. What, probably back in April?
I think so.
I think it was April. And anytime when we're going somewhere or doing something, Cutter's always recording it on his phone, but it just stays there. Doesn't really do anything with it. Me, I used to be like that where I'd record a bunch of stuff, but then it got to the point where I'm not doing anything with it. If it was for memories, I would keep it. Like if I went and I did a trip like to Colorado, like the last video, yeah, I'd have some videos or photos or whatever, but I wouldn't do anything with it. And then so we were sitting at his house, and I was like, dude, let's do it. Let's put the plan into action. We've been talking about it all these years. We've tried and failed. We've had other accounts, I think.
Which, to put into quotes of Ethan, like, he was laying on one of the bunk beds down in the basement, and we were just sitting there talking about it. And he looks over at me and he's like, "Let's freaking do it! Like, let's just do it!"
Yeah,
And I mean, that very second, I ran up, got my computer, started working on a logo. I mean, we came up with the name within 10 minutes.
it was probably while he was doing the logo and the name, I was literally creating a Gmail and uh, Instagram.
We whipped it out like within 30 minutes. We had everything in place.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think because if this thing turned into like a huge channel with a bunch of subscribers and a bunch of cool videos, it's crazy to think like how easy it was to start it. It was
Yeah,
completely free to create a Gmail and then take that Gmail and create an Instagram and YouTube with it. It was free to make the logo. It was free to come up with the name. And then like we're doing our hobby. Like
something that we love.
yeah, it's like the only thing that is kind of tedious, which like what I noticed about being in Colorado was like the first day I was trying to record everything, and the second day I recorded everything. And so it was like as soon as there was a fish, I was like, "Where's the camera? Where's the camera?" So then the third day I was like, "Okay, we got enough fishing content. I'm just gonna put the phone down and relax." So I think that
It's kind
that's
of hard to like fish and enjoy the fishing when you're always recording.
yeah. And so that's one thing that I kind of realized like, oh, if we're taking a trip somewhere and doing this, that'd probably be something to consider is like get content and get videos and photos, but then take some time to just enjoy it, you know?
Yeah. Which, it does help to have a second person recording, like whenever you and I are together.
Hmm.
Either I'm recording or you're recording, so we both get to enjoy it the same amount.
Yeah.
But we don't have to be frantic about get the camera, you know.
Yeah.
Or even your girlfriend whenever she comes and she's recording for us.
Yeah. 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 It's been fun. Like this, basically, we've been doing this all summer.
Yeah.
A lot of the videos are from the past and whatnot, but a lot of them are from the like since we've started, like just in the past few months.
Which, it's kind of crazy because I would see Ethan. He would probably come over once a year, maybe twice, and we'd go fishing. That's what we do. But recently, it's like, once we started this, I was looking back at all the older videos, and I was like, man, we used to only like have one good weekend.
Yeah.
But now it's like we can go do this whenever we want.
Yeah, and like you know, we still live in the Panhandle, close to each other, and we're adults, and so it's like you know, like I'd pack up and come hang out for a weekend.
And I mean, as I've said, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah. So it's been fun. I think that it'd be different if it was like making us money and we could do it full time. I think we'd have more time to put towards better stuff. Like right now, it's kind of like a side hustle. It kind of feels like,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
But
it really is a hobby right now. You
yeah,
know, it's not. We're not really here to try and make money. We're just doing it because we enjoy doing it. But it'd be nice to make some money while doing it. We gotta be honest, you know.
and it is cool to like. I swear, Cutter is a social media guru. I have tried social media stuff before, and I just don't get results. But then when Cutter does, I don't know how you do it, but it's like you reach the audience, and like our channel, if you go and look at it right now, like if you are already a subscriber and you look at it, you'd think that it is not a lot. But to me, it is because I haven't seen results like this. It was like we instantly started putting stuff up and getting views on the YouTube Shorts that I was like, what? Like ridiculous. And it's been pretty consistent subscriber growth.
Yeah, because we're sitting at how many videos do we have right now? 33,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. But our subscriber count is like 4x times that. So the videos that we put out, it's like you gain almost 4 subscribers per video,
Yeah,
which is great because eventually we'll get to a point where it's exponential growth and we'll be gaining 14, and then
yeah. I think it's just, yeah. I like the idea of having a lot of subscribers because I want to know that these videos are like reaching out to all the right people and
yeah,
they're getting to see it. Not just like getting views because like, oh, you get paid because of views, but like getting views because I'm like, I want people to see this. Like we're putting it out there for a reason. I don't want it to get 3 views and then we
yeah.
go on to the next one.
Well, that's like one of the reasons we're doing this podcast now is we have tons of cool hunting and fishing stories that we want people to hear. Like, there's some stuff that I've experienced that I don't think anyone can say that they have in the past. You know?
Yeah, and I like the idea of having like when I'm at work sometimes I like just listening to hunting and outdoors type podcast just to hear the stories and just hearing the way that they're talking, no matter who it is, like Steve Ranella, like his
Yeah.
podcast. I just like hearing stories that they tell and stuff like that, and just something to like kind of pass the time, I guess.
See, and that's another thing is that with Shoot Swift as a whole, we're looking to basically expand our hobby. Yes, it is an outdoor life brand, but like we want to be able to travel and do these incredible hunts or go on these massive fishing trips and stuff like that and provide content for y'all, but in return we get to go do more of that. So that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, like going to freaking Mozambique and going and shooting some African wildlife down there. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Another one that I think would be pretty obtainable would do like a backcountry elk hunting.
Yeah, I'd love to get an elk. I mean, I've gotten
Yeah,
a deer before, nice buck, but elk is definitely like on the top of my list. I'd love to get some elk.
but then you got to think about too, like what we have here on the Texas Panhandle for free. We got birds, we got hogs, we got coyotes, we got deer. Honestly, if you've seen our channel, a lot of it right now has been fishing because we started in the summer. That's about all we can do.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm excited for dove season, which it opens Sunday. I wish I could go.
Like tomorrow?
Yeah, it opens tomorrow,
Oh,
and I wish I could go, but
completely flew over my head. We've both been like stupid busy.
yeah, I got to get my hunter safety course.
You better hop on that.
Yeah, because I would hunt with my grandpa, and I think I looked up and like with my grandpa, I don't have to.
Yeah, you don't. I
And
don't. I
then
don't think so.
yeah, I don't think so either. But anyways, without incriminating myself, I need to get my hunting safety course done.
Well, to be fair, a lot of the stuff that we have hunted in the past or anything that you will see on the channel, it's been like coyotes and hogs or pest animals.
Yeah.
They don't require a license in Texas.
Like everything that we do on the channel is legal by the Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah. We have our fun. We have our good old redneck fun, but we got to be smart about it too.
Yeah, because number one, I would not want. I used to fish all the time without a license, and I've never hunted without a
Really
license.
incriminating yourself right now.
Yeah, but I'm sure that the statutes of limitations is probably up on that fishing. I hope.
Yeah, probably.
But
Well, we do a lot of fishing on private property, so
yeah,
it doesn't require anything.
that's true. And most of the fishing that I did without all the fishing that I did was allegedly without a license,
Allegedly.
and it was on private property.
All fish will return safely to the water.
Yeah, I didn't keep any fish, but obviously you don't need a license when you're like 12,
No.
and so that would all be done without a license. Then I would do private property, And then once I started going to public lakes, that's when I was like, okay, now let me get a license. So I think it's safe to say I haven't fished without a license.
So you're in the clear.
I'm in the clear basically. But it's kind of one of those things where number one, I want to get a license because that money goes to wildlife conservation.
Correct.
And people don't realize that hunters and fishers are the biggest uh
Conservation for wildlife. Yeah,
yeah,
like it's a great effort. Everyone says that like, oh, the big bad hunter, oh, they kill animals, but they don't realize that by killing these animals, you're decreasing the population that could deplete the just the land of any
yeah.
nutrients or other animals like
Yeah, because if you look at a field and you put on a 1 acre fenced in pasture that has luscious green grass and you put 200 head of cattle on that 1 acre,
oh, they fit
how long is it going to be until that grass is gone?
a day and a half.
Yeah, because they're number one, they're going to be stomping it down and killing it, and they're going to be eating it, and so it's going to turn into dirt. I would say within a year or less, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's the whole thing with like wildlife is these people, these conservation scientists, they come up with this number. Like if we go dove hunting and the bag limit is X amount, the reason that the bag limit is X amount is because that's the number that they came up with. They were like, okay, this
They
number
need
is
to
safe.
weed out.
Yeah, they need to weed out. It's like, okay, kill these many. Now, I don't know how often the bag limit would change. I mean, it's probably decreasing
I,
the way that there's a drought
I
and
haven't
stuff like
seen it
that.
fluctuate much.
No,
I know for pheasant, it definitely has.
yeah. And I
Um,
think for some reason I want to say dove used to be like 13 at one point in time,
yes,
and then now it's down to like 6.
which that's still not bad. Like that's
Yeah,
and another big thing about hunting is that's food.
yeah.
Like for however shotgun shells are cheap. You know, you could buy a box of 100 for $20. I think those
Hmm.
big ones at Academy.
I'd say probably 30 or 40 bucks.
Yeah, but still, like that's 30 or 40 bucks is a normal night out for dinner.
Yeah,
But you go and you buy those shotgun shells, and let's say you're using it for dove hunting, that's food on the table.
if you're a good shot, you may be spending 30 or 40 bucks and not getting anything to eat.
Yeah,
But and that's what.
that's why we fish as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like.
You gotta.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for both. Like, there are some people that are not trophy hunters, and they strictly do it for um or let me rephrase it. There's people that say they're not trophy hunters and they do it strictly for the meat, but then it's like, okay, but you're killing the biggest and best one because you want to take that cool picture with it
Yeah,
when you kill it. Like you are trophy hunting in a way, but you're my thing is if you're gonna hunt, don't waste the food.
I
Like that's
agree.
food.
Which, to be fair, like if we're deer hunting this year, you're gonna want the biggest buck you can get.
Yeah, I'm gonna want the biggest
But we,
one.
we do want the meat. You know,
Yeah,
like that's the whole point of hunting,
yeah,
right? But at
yeah,
the same time, I want that badass picture with the big old buck.
yeah. Like I like making stuff with Dove. I've chicken fried them. The best way that I've ever had them that I found out a couple years ago is I chicken or not chicken fried. Put shake and bake on them
I think you're telling me about that.
and baked them, and they were just like little Dove nuggets. They were awesome, and Dove are just so you can put them in, like obviously Dove poppers are the
They're
most.
really malleable, like as a food. You can do
Yeah.
a lot with it.
And so I love dove hunting because I do think that bird hunting is a fun sport. But also, when I kill these birds, I'm not just being like, oh, I mean, I would feel pretty worthless if I were to kill a whole bag load of dove and just dump them off on the side of the road.
That would, yeah.
It wouldn't sit right with me. I would take them home, clean them, and if I'm not going to eat them that night, freeze them.
Which, you know, the most likely thing for that is that there would be predation. You know, like your foxes, coyotes, and
Yeah,
coons would come and pick them. But still, it's like the thought of you just wasted that.
yeah.
You
Like
know?
if I had one at my grandparents and I like martyred it basically, like there's nothing left of it, I'll feed it to the cats
Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, number one, I can't eat this meat. It's peppered. So
blew a wad through his chest.
yeah,
You
so
know.
I'll give it to the birds, and the birds will have that thing picked clean in an hour or less.
So it.
It's not being wasted. Now, would I kill a whole bag limit and leave it for coyotes and stuff? No, that's ridiculous. But and also, I'm not gonna hunt. And I've heard of people like in Africa, they'll kill an elephant and they're not going to eat elephant, but they'll go and they'll give it to a local village.
Yeah, and that's like okay. So we both grew up on watching River Monsters with Jeremy Wade. One of those episodes, he killed on accident. He had pulled in like a huge tiger fish and gave it to the locals there, and apparently it's like a delicacy.
Yeah, I'm starting a timer that way we know where we're at. But yeah, I think that because obviously if I go to Africa, I want to go for the experience, but also it is kind of trophy hunting. Like I'm not gonna go to Africa.
To get the smallest one you
Yeah,
see.
like I'm not gonna go and I'm whatever. But if I'm not gonna eat it, I want to make sure that it is donated to like a local village like that where it's
Where it will be 100% of that will be used.
yeah
The bones are used every single bit of
it's
that animal.
yeah it's probably better off than me let's say bringing it getting it packaged and bringing it back to the United States where I'm only eating certain things of whatever it is. But if you take it to those villages, they're using everything on that. Like I heard stories about the elephant, like they had it picked clean quick, and they were using the bones for stuff. They're using the hide and all that, just all kinds of stuff. So that's the thing is people are like, oh, hunters don't care. They do care.
That's why we hunt, is because we care.
And also on top of that, if we love hunting, we're gonna do things to keep us hunting,
Yeah.
like donating or purchasing this and that, purchasing a hunting license, purchasing a fishing license, doing that kind of stuff because I want to keep doing it. And that stuff is it's well used. You hear a lot of these like non charity or these charities and stuff that they don't put the donations to good use, which it's not like when you buy a license and you're not donating, but I feel like the Texas Park and Wildlife and probably any park and wildlife, it's a good um, thing to give money to, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like obviously they have to pay employees,
It's a cause we support.
and it is a government thing too, so they're getting paid by the government. But it's like it doesn't bother me to purchase a hunting license.
Yeah, I mean,
Which
they're
number one, it's like then again, it's like I'm gonna do what I have to do to hunt and fish, which
absolutely yeah.
is getting a fishing and hunting license. So,
Which like even something else we've kind of been looking into is a boating license because
yeah,
we both really want to boat. But I recently got a kayak. He's about to get a kayak. Y'all will see all of this on the channel. We just haven't had it set up yet. But
that's another thing. Since I'm getting this new job, I may be. I totally forgot I was gonna buy a kayak. Now, and it just I guess I kind of put it to the side because I'm like, oh, now it's getting into dove season, like time to put the fishing rods up. But we could still go kayaking and
I've
fishing.
been fishing into the winter.
Yeah,
Like you can still catch bass and catfish.
and especially if we're in a kayak.
Oh yeah.
I haven't had much luck fishing from like the shore when it's cold. I'm sure when you're a kayak, I'm sure it doesn't matter.
Like getting down, like getting out in the middle and
Yeah,
dropping that way down there. Yeah. Well, and so one of my dream fish, which I haven't caught yet, is a pike or a muskie. I mean, I know they're both related, but I want a pike, and that's winter weather fishing. That's like in the ice. I want a pike so bad.
yeah. I want to catch a big old alligator.
Yeah, same. That's another one on the bucket list. A big
I
old 8 footer.
Yeah, I think they're just so cool.
Well, and speaking of alligator gar, this is a little story for y'all. When I was in Lake Texoma for a fishing trip, we have some of these posted on YouTube and Instagram, but I'll be sure to include pictures for this. But we were bow fishing for, I believe it was buffalo. They're very similar to carp, and also we were looking for gar. We just didn't expect them to be that big. We were walking on the bank of Lake Texoma, and there's this massive log out in front of us. I'm telling you, this thing's 8 foot long. And none of us, like me and three other grown men, didn't think anything of it. And as we're getting closer, the log twitches and flips around and heads back out into the water. And we realized it was a big old 8 foot alligator gar. That, like, when you realize the size of that, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
It's cool, but it's creepy.
I think that's why I want one so bad is because it's kind of like a you've slayed the monster type thing.
Yeah, Moby Dick, the white
Yeah.
whale,
Yeah.
Captain Ahab.
It's kind of like if I got a big 8 foot alligator gar, I'd look at it as like I've
That's a trophy you'd put on the wall. You know,
oh,
obviously eat the meat and everything,
and I've
but you're
heard that
gonna,
it's good eating too. Yeah, I would like, man. It's just one time I was fishing in a river up by Tulsa, Oklahoma, and there's like this river thing or whatever. I went fishing in it, and I didn't know what I would catch. I was just fishing for anything, and so I was kind of like out in the water, and it was probably like knee deep. And next thing I know, I just start looking. There's like just like small alligator gar just surrounding me.
really.
Yeah,
Well, I know they're in the area.
yeah, and they were like creepy looking. And then I realized I'm like these things like could hurt me. Like if they bit my leg, it hurt.
Well, yeah, their teeth are like needles and their scales are sharp too.
Yeah,
Like if you brush against them, they will cut you.
yeah. So I don't know. It was kind of I don't know how to explain it. It was a weird feeling being in the water.
It's like a bunch of little piranhas, long
Yeah,
nosed piranhas.
and it's like they're just looking. I'm not kidding you. It's like they were just sitting there, just looking at my legs, and I was like, I'm gonna get out of here. Like what's that? There's like a scene in Nemo that it reminded me of. I can't remember what scene it was.
I think I know what you're talking about. There's another scene in Ice Age where all the piranhas around
Yeah,
scrap. I know what you're talking about
yeah.
though.
But it was just because when you look at a gar, you're just like that is an ugly fish.
Cool.
It's
It's
cool,
so
but
cool.
it's like that's one of those things that if I was deep sea diving like in a lake and I saw an 8 foot gar, I'd get scared. I straight up would piss myself. I would
Yeah,
get scared because they're just so ugly. Like they look like they could literally kill you.
they
Which
look like
I
it,
mean, an 8 foot
but
alligator
I don't
gar.
think I've ever heard a single story of them like eating a person.
No, which there was a
They
river.
hurt people all the time just because they're strong. They're huge. They're strong.
Well, did you not see that River Monsters episode where like kids were playing down by a river in Texas and it like bit their foot? But I
Right.
can't remember if they found out that it was a gar or not. When we were thinking of like probably a 6, 7 year old kid with an 8 foot alligator gar, which I totally believe they can get up
Oh,
to,
absolutely.
then yeah, I could see it probably taking off a foot.
Which I don't know what the max record is for an alligator guard, but 8 foot I think is 100% feasible.
Yeah,
I've seen at the Bass Pro Shops a 7 footer. You know,
yeah, it's crazy. An alligator gar, it's on my list. Like it's kind of one of those things that it's weird because when I think of things I want to hunt, they're in Africa. But then when I think of things I want to catch fishing,
that's all freshwater.
well, a lot of it is salt water. Like I'd love to go deep sea fishing, but it's like alligator gar is up there, and it's one of those things like it's right here in our backyard.
Yeah,
We could go
we
after a
need to
gar.
go take a trip, honestly.
I think another thing that I was thinking about is I was looking one day around the area, and I think down by Dimmitt maybe or something. There's a public pond kind of like the one in Canyon. I thought we could make a day trip out of it. Just go down there and see
Then it
what's
ain't
in there.
far.
Yeah, but that's something that we could do is just kind of look, maybe even like film like kind of a series on it and be like, okay, like this is the alligator gar hunting um, journey. And we talk about like, oh, today we're in Dimmitt, Texas, looking for alligator gar in this lake or this pond. Probably won't have any there, or go to this lake and be like, okay, we're looking for some here. Especially if we got a kayak and we could get
Oh yeah.
in the middle of something.
What would you do if you hooked onto an 8 footer and it just started pulling?
I would hope that we're recording because that would
That'd
be
be amazing. We'd be
yeah.
sitting there like. But speaking of series that we're gonna do, we kind of have a series that we haven't posted much or
Wait,
talked much about.
hold on. If it's what you're talking about, let me say this first before we move on to that.
No, go for it.
I want to so obviously get a kayak, and I want to deck it out with the pole holders. Really, not much to deck it out with, but I'd like to have it like decked out with pole holders and put some stickers on it, some cool stickers and whatnot.
Our sticker.
Yeah, but it would be cool to get like I'd honestly just probably get like some PVC pipe and put them down in a thing to hold the fishing pole. I gotta think about it. That would probably be the best setup for going to look for alligator gar because we'd get out there in the middle. You know, when you're fishing for alligator gar, you're doing like catfish. You're looking at the bottom. Like
Yeah,
you're just getting
and
a
it's
big old
treble hook fishing because
yeah
their mouth is so bony.
yeah yeah. Just get a big old chunk of meat on a treble hook and just chunk it to the bottom. So it's like you could just set it in there, be sitting on the kayak, and just wait for that thing to get it. But but then again, if you're on a kayak,
I'm kind of worried about that. It might tip
yeah
over. You're in the water now.
yeah, that's a good point.
I'd be holding it for
Yeah, I
sure,
think
and
I'd be
I'd be
holding it.
facing towards the direction of the line.
Yeah, because if that thing gets taken down and it's in that PVC pipe, it's going to tip the boat probably.
Yeah, especially if it starts swimming one direction.
Yeah, it'd probably be best. Anyways,
Before we go on, sorry, I'm not done talking about gar. I watch these videos and I want to do it so bad, but they have this. It's all it is an airboat or something, or a boat build like we were gonna do, like a John boat.
mm-hmm.
But they have lights on the outside and they go boat fishing for gar. Like you see those,
Yeah,
or they're in the swamps or something.
yeah,
I
and
want to do
it's like
that.
that. You can just see the water so good with the lights.
Yeah, because they have the floodlights on the top, and then they have the ones that are under the water lighting
Yeah,
everything up. And they're just up there, and they gig for frogs off of there too. They have their sticks, and there'll be a bullfrog, and they
yeah,
you got frog legs, you got gar. That's a good night of eating right there.
yeah. I could go for that.
I feel frog legs
Where could we get some?
right now. We could go catch a bullfrog real quick.
Yeah, it'd just rain.
Yeah,
Yeah, alligator gar is definitely something. And I've heard of stories of pike being at Greenbelt. I
I
thought it was
have two, but I don't know if they're in there anymore.
probably not. I think for us to go get some gar, we'd probably have to go somewhere in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know that there's tons in Louisiana, which Louisiana really isn't that far. Like Dallas,
Yeah.
5 to 6 hour drive. Let's say we're taking a weekend trip, like a Labor Day weekend trip, where we leave either Friday or Saturday, and then we get home Monday. And we could take a trip down there,
Mm-hmm.
let's go do some fishing. We're gigging, or bow hunting, because I have a bow. I have a really nice bow that's strung up with 80-pound line.
I don't know why, but bow fishing to me just doesn't seem very appealing. Like I would try it, and if I tried it, I'd probably end up liking it. But it's not something that I'm like it's a bucket list item.
Yeah, and
I
it's
don't
not
know
a bucket
why.
list. It's just something that I add to the hobby. Like, oh hey, I got this bow. Let's go stock
Yeah,
some carp or something.
yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know something about it. I'm just like, like it's cool.
You like the fight,
Yeah,
like I do too. I love the fight, but at the same time, it's like when you're sitting there, like in these videos, and it's like pitch black outside, but they're lighting up that water. There's
that would
something about that just hits.
that's what I would do.
And I haven't even done that yet. I've done bow fishing. I've done on the bank and stuff like that, but not on a boat like I'm talking about. I'll interject a video so y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's something. Um, yeah, I would go spear fishing because
Yeah.
I saw this video or not video picture on Instagram that was so cool. It was like this lady. I guess she does like spear fishing a lot, and I guess spear fishing is pretty popular up in like the New York area, which I guess it kind of makes sense when you look at the history up there. They used to do like a bunch of what is it called, harpooning?
Whaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, whaling and harpooning.
But there's this picture. She's like got her spear gun, and she's going back up to the top. And she's like got this huge fish by the gills, and she's
Uh,
just swimming up, and it's like dark. And you just barely see the like. It looks sick.
that's
I was
cool.
like, that would be a cool picture. Like she's just like swimming up, got her spear, and just got this fish. I was like, that is sick.
Which is funny because I've been spearfishing in Costa Rica. It's a different experience. You're not fishing. The way to explain it is that you're hunting underwater.
Yeah,
And it's so cool because you're not just fighting the fish, fighting to get the fish. You're fighting your air, your oxygen, fighting the current. Like it's just a whole different struggle. But once you're in it, like get her done.
all right.
Quick interjection there.
Had mic issues.
But we're back. Guess who's back? No, um,
Guess who?
who? Butter Cabcock. So back to it. We were talking about spearfishing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put in some clips of because I recorded a lot of it. I didn't record when I got the fish because my employee at the time, when I was living in Costa Rica, no offense, but he was more worried about the fish than recording. Um, but I still have tons of cool videos. You'll see some big puffer fish, tons of wildlife down there. It's incredible. And even in 20-foot deep water, which is where we were at, it doesn't feel like it because it's crystal clear. You're down there at the bottom. All you got to do is pressurize yourself, but you're sitting there and you're waiting. The oxygen doesn't even hit you because you're so focused on the fish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's something I'd definitely like to do.
I like to do it with a scuba tank because you could be down there forever.
Wait, what were you not doing it? Where were you doing it with?
Just my breath. Snorkel. Yeah, that's what most people do is a snorkel.
And then don't you have to go back up for air?
Mm-hmm. But it like
So what's the point of having a snorkel then?
so whenever you're sitting on top of the water, first of all, the waves,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't want to be sitting there struggling for air.
Right.
Most snorkels, especially the one that I have, it has a little bubble in it that if a wave hits it and you're breathing in, water doesn't go in there.
Because my grandma, she had a pool when I was growing up, and grew up in that pool, and we would have snorkels and stuff. And I knew how it was like, but yeah,
Those are probably like the cheap Walmart
yeah, they're
snorkels.
the
Mine's
cheap.
like this is a $160 snorkel and mask set.
Yeah. So you would go under with that snorkel on, and then you just go up a little bit for air.
Yeah. And I already can hold my breath like insanely long, but you can hold it even longer when you're not focused on it. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like if you think that, oh, I'm not going to be able to hold my breath, the second you're down there and you're spearfishing or you're checking out wildlife or videoing them with a GoPro, it turns off in your head and you could be down
Yeah.
there for 3, 4 minutes and you don't even know. I doubt I was down there that long, but some of the video that I was recording, I was down there for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've tried to do like I used to, or I still have this app on my phone where you do like breathing exercises,
Mm-hmm.
and I was testing how long I could. It has like a timer on there. I think the most I ever got up to was like a minute and a half, and that's when I was like running a lot, so my cardio was real good.
That's still pretty good though.
Yeah, I thought a minute and a half was all right. I wanted to get it a lot higher, but yeah, like when you're sitting there and you're like, I would just be like sitting here like on a couch doing it, and like the only thing that you're thinking about is just your breath. So then it sucks. Like I was sitting here just squirming trying to get to that minute because it was like a minute 15, and I was like squirming trying to not to breathe.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to get to a minute 30, and so I was sitting there holding, and then finally I was like, oh my god. But I'm sure like when you're, people always talk about that, like taking your mind off of it and going somewhere else, and it feels easier.
It's definitely easier. Well, even so, I got scuba certified when I was down there, and one of the tests that you have to be in 60-foot deep water. We were down at 60 foot. You have to take off your mask. You have to take out your respirator, and you have to just slowly let the bubbles go out. And you have to sit there for a minute. Like you're 60 foot deep. If shit goes south, like you're
It's
kind
a
of screwed.
long way to the top.
But that's the thing is that you can't just immediately swim to the surface because you get nitrogen poisoning in your blood.
Yeah.
So
Oh
you're
my god.
forced, like you have to make it work. And you're in a different mindset where I have to do this or I'm probably going to drown. Like I will die, you know? And it's not like it's that scary or that unsafe. It's like, it's pretty safe. You know, they have everyone around you making sure you're okay and that you're going to be okay. But like in that moment when you take everything off, and one of the things is you have to take your mask off and then put it back on, and then you hold the top and you blow through your nose and it blows all the water out.
Sucks
Like
it back to your face.
that thing, yeah, it does, but it sucks because my allergies at the time were acting up and I had like snot coming out. Like I was sitting there like choking while trying to get my respirator in. But that's the thing is that sometimes they say that you'll puke in your respirator. Like you just have to
Yeah.
blow it out.
That's yeah. Oh, just you telling that story makes my chest feel tight. I don't know, like,
I
because
loved it. It was the most incredible experience of my life was scuba diving for sure.
at the pool in Groom, when I'd be there, I'd go to the pool a lot,
Hmm.
and we'd always like go down, which this was an awful idea, and thinking about it kind of scares me. We'd go down to the bottom and touch that vent
Oh yeah,
down the deep end and
I've
go
heard
back up.
stories about kids getting stuck.
uh,
Like they get sucked to the bottom,
yeah.
which I believe both of us, like even at the time, were strong enough. And I'm a great swimmer. I'm a stupid strong swimmer.
Oh God, it just makes my chest tight thinking about that shit.
Thinking you're underwater and you,
Oh
I think drowning's definitely one of the worst ways to go.
yeah.
And I haven't experienced it yet, and I don't. Hopefully, never. But
Well, I think it's kind of one of those things, and this sounds pretty gruesome, but you'd probably pass out before you died. You probably have,
yeah,
if you're someone like me who I probably can't hold my breath underwater for more than a minute right now. It'd probably get to a point where at 5 minutes, I'm struggling for 5 minutes, then pass out, and then you probably die.
yeah.
Which
Because I
that
mean,
sounds awful to say, but that's probably the way that it would actually happen. I think you'd pass out, and then you'd lose oxygen to your brain.
yeah. It probably isn't as like violent as other deaths, but it's definitely not something I want to experience ever.
Yeah. But no, I think about that every now and then. How we go down there and touch the drain. I would tell my dad that, and he'd be like, "Don't do that shit ever again." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "You could get, like I just got to think, what if you're going down there and touching, you stick your finger in that vent, and you get
And you're
stuck."
stuck.
Which I think it'd be a flight or fight response where
You
you
just
you
rip
literally
it
rip
out.
your finger out. And but I remember one time I went down there and I mean nothing ever scary happened. It's just it got to a point where I got to thinking about it more and more and more, and I was like, because that was a deep pool, or
Yeah,
at least as a kid, it felt like 20 foot as a kid.
it's deep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was very very deep.
it's deeper than what I trained in for scuba diving. I
Yeah.
trained in only 5 foot or 6 foot deep water in the pool, and then once we go to the ocean,
Okay, I was like, I thought you just said like 60
yeah,
feet.
you have to do 2 day training in a pool, and then the
Okay.
last day, the last 2 days, it's a 4 day thing. The last 2 days is when you're in the
Oh,
ocean.
see that just scuba diving sounds great.
It's something you need to try.
But that doing because do you have to go through that training before you can do it, right?
Like you do it in a pool first. You do the first 2 days, and then you'll go into the ocean where you do everything that you did in the pool, but you just do it in the ocean. But the last day is when you get to do the full depth of dive.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of overachieved with my certification. I was allowed at 84 feet, which most people aren't, especially first time certs. But 84 feet it's down there, but it's
So
so cool.
if you're down there and you're taking off everything, obviously if you go to the top, you get nitrogen poisoning.
If you do it quickly, there's
Right.
something that you have to do, like you you have your buoyancy thing that you press, and you'll look up and you'll go up for a little bit,
And
and
then
then you'll
stop.
stop. You stop for about 5-ish minutes, float there, and then you'll keep ascending.
Well, shit. If you're out of breath, you can't sit there for 5 minutes.
That's what I'm saying though. Like you have two respirators on you. You have one here, and then you have an emergency one here that's either for a partner or for you if this one goes out. So you're really like it's very safe, and you have your buoyancy thing. In an emergency, you can inflate that thing and go to the top, but there's a lot of stuff that has to like. There's a lot of precautions to make sure you don't die of nitrogen poisoning.
That's crazy.
It's not as scary as I make it sound.
I know. I know. I'm kind of one of those people that if I got down there, I'd freak out because
You
I'm,
really don't. Like
yeah.
the chick the first time in the pool, she freaked out in the pool and she like surfaced for air. But when you're down there, like it's a whole different thing. You're like, I have the tank, I'm safe, and if both of my respirators go out, all of these guys have an extra respirator on them that I can use. That's we detracted, but we were talking about spearfishing. Spearfishing, like you have to
Yeah.
do it, have to.
I would. I'd love to. It looks fun. It looks.
Well, and some people spearfish in lakes, but I'm going to get to this why I feel more weird and creeped out about lakes than I do oceans. I'm more scared of what's in a lake than I am of what's in the ocean.
I could kind of see that.
Sharks don't scare me. It's giant freaking catfish that swallow you that scare me.
To me, it's like in a lake. It's I don't know. I've never been to a real clear lake.
It's murky
Yeah,
almost always.
and I'm worried that if I was scuba diving in the, if you're scuba diving in the ocean, if you're scuba diving in the ocean, you could probably see what you're getting into. I feel like if you're scuba diving in like a lake, you probably can't see from here to that chair, and you could
Yeah.
you could be swimming. Next thing you know, boom, there's God knows what.
Well, that I'm actually going to tell a story real quick before I even get to my story. But Lake Meredith, right? I believe in the 70s. It could have
No,
been, was it in the
it
90s?
wasn't Meredith. I think it was
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie
Mackenzie.
down south.
Yeah, someone like ran off the ledge with their car and they were dead for I think a year and a half. And they finally sent scuba divers down there and they found it. But those scuba divers said they would never go back down there again. And no one knew why until they explained that they saw catfish the size of the car.
Yeah, they saw.
That's terrifying.
I heard that it was like a Volkswagen Beetle or above.
Yeah. And they were the which Volkswagen Beetles aren't big cars, but when you're thinking of a fish
Yeah,
that big, that's scary.
which yeah, it's just Greenbelt is drying up, and I really do think that there will be a day that we see the bottom of Greenbelt.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because like not long when I was out there, there was a sandbar in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and
Which I've seen a 4 foot catfish dead on the bank out at Greenbelt.
yeah,
Big old flathead.
and um, and I have a theory behind that. So out at the lake in Greenbelt, south of the lake, like around Greenbelt, it's owned by the Greenbelt Water Authority. So if there's a house out there, you don't own the house, or sorry, you own the house, but you don't own the land. And then north of the lake in Howardwick, you own the land and everything. That it's not leased property. And I've heard that they're trying to dry up the lake and
Why?
push everybody out. I don't know. It this is a theory, small town talk, and to me it doesn't make sense because I was talking to a
Are we gonna get off for saying this?
imagine
Just to clarify, we are not suicidal.
imagine it be like the CIA, like we leak something and then
Yeah, it's like we're talking about something that we're just shooting the shit, but oh no, we know a little too much
yeah.
apparently.
But no, I've heard that they're trying to dry it up, which to me doesn't make sense because my grandpa ran a business in Clarendon and ran gas stations, like owned several service stations, and he said that like you'd have somebody come in like on a Thursday, Friday afternoon, like just tons of people coming in with boats, filling up the boat, filling up the car, going out to the lake, come back in for groceries, going back, getting gas before they leave for the weekend. It's like it was the lake had it booming there, just business in general. And so now that it's slowed down, like people have said, like, oh, back in the day when that thing was full, you couldn't fit another person on that lake on the weekends. And now you go out there and you might see one boat a week in
I
in the
remember
summer.
even a couple years ago we would go out and go tubing.
Yeah,
We'd bring our boats out and some of my buddies we'd go tubing out there and I'm like,
yeah,
it's a great time.
yeah. And so to me, it doesn't make sense for them to drain it. Which on top of that, it feeds like all the way to Childress. So I was asking my grandpa. We were playing golf out in Howardwick, and you can see the lake. And I mean, it's there used to be a part where on one of the holes you could see the lake. Now it's dry. And I asked him like, "What do you do?" Like, which he has a well at his house, so he's not worried about it. I'm like, "But what do the people do? Like, you just pack up and leave?" And he said he helped build that lake, man-made lake.
Greenbelt is?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. And he said that when they bought the lake, they bought the water rights up near I-40. So if that dries up, they're just going to start piping water from there, like tap wells. And so my thought is maybe they're trying to dry it up so that they can start doing that to where they don't have to worry about the lake levels. But also at the same time, it's like with how low it is, it would take a while to pipe water from those wells down to Clarendon and all the other towns that it feeds. Like if they're going to do that, you think they'd start doing that now.
Yeah, that's odd.
So to me, it doesn't make sense that they're drying it up purposefully. But I think Memorial Day weekend, I went out there. We got some videos, and we were fishing at this certain spot. The week after, we went to that exact same spot, and it was unrecognizable, which is weird because I've never, I would spend almost every day there in the summer times growing up, and I'd never seen it go down that quick. We've had some hot summers and drought. We've been in a drought for years now, and I've
It's
never,
like the old cartoon where someone pulls the drain plug
yeah.
and it's just
I mean, really, because it's like I've heard that there's a whirlpool out there, which to me thinks that there's a drain.
that's scary though.
Yeah,
Imagine if you're swimming.
Yeah, like there's a whirlpool down by the dam, and you know where
I've
the
heard
dam
that too,
is,
actually.
and where the dam is I'm pretty sure where the water comes out and goes into the
The other ponds on the other side.
yeah. And so if that's where the whirlpool is, then that makes me think, okay, that's where the drain is, and it's causing it to have a whirlpool. And but it's just crazy how quick that it went down in that week's time, and we had rain, and you know we
That's
went.
the other thing. The massive flood that we had last summer.
Oh, it didn't do anything to
That's
the
what I'm
lake.
saying. That's so weird.
That is kind of weird because we had tons and tons of rain,
So much water that it like flooded
flooded
Paladuro Canyon, flooded
flooded
Amarillo.
Amarillo. I mean, had to call in the National Guard.
Yeah, like
Like
I'll show you a video because I have the video of one of my buddies in a
insert video.
plane. Yeah, insert video in a plane flying over, showing you how flooded. This is the Texas Panhandle. We're flat. We hardly ever get rain. This was like tsunami style weather,
Yeah, there was like a
hurricane.
there was a playa lake by my work that I would drive by every day, and it
They
went
were
over the
full.
behind my work. There was a playa lake full of water. It's finally dried up. There was another one that just finally dried up. It was across the water. Now that road is fine.
Well, and do you remember on Coulter, the lake that's right there across the
Yeah,
Walmart? The water was coming over
yeah,
into the Walmart parking lot.
yeah. So it's crazy how, which obviously that was here in Amarillo. Obviously, Clarendon got a lot of water too, but it's just crazy how that didn't affect the lake at all. So I don't
It
know.
affected mine, which my lake feeds into Greenbelt. Like if you
Yeah,
follow the creek, how did it affect mine but not Greenbelt?
yeah. And I saw a thing in one of like the group chats on Facebook that people are saying, "Oh, it's because all the people upstream are damming it up and causing." But I'm like, in Howardwick, you've got a couple ponds there, but they're not enough to stop. And all the
No.
ponds that I've seen in Howardwick, they're all flowing on the other end into that stream. So I think obviously this is
Conspiracy.
yeah, this is me wearing my tinfoil hat. There's not any good reason for them to dry it up, but I've heard that they are to try to run the people out that are on that leased land. And obviously wearing my tinfoil hat, knowing nothing, you know, what if they like dry it up, get everybody to move out, kind of demolish it, and create like a new construction, yeah,
Which
which
that would suck because we already are running out of lakes in the area that are still good and still fishable. We
yeah,
lost Buffalo Lake like back in 2008. It's just outside of Canyon.
oh yeah,
Um, we lost what's the one just right by Groom?
McClellan,
McClellan. We lost that one. That one's just literally a puddle.
probably not even that now.
It's lake bed. Um, Greenbelt now. Meredith.
It
McKenzie's still got water in it, but it's low. It's
yeah,
way low.
it'll be interesting. The only reason that I would want Greenbelt to go dry is because I would want to see what monsters are in there.
Yeah.
I
If there
mean,
are still pike, that'd be awesome.
yeah, and I don't know how deep it is right now. My guess is probably 30 feet, if
Because
that.
it's a deep lake when it's full.
It's a deep lake, but my guess is probably 30 feet right now or less.
That's tragic.
It is because I'm like, if they did buy the water rights and they are planning on draining this puppy, they should probably be piping water down, starting that now because that's not going to be a quick process. But I don't know. It's crazy because these lake monsters, like, there are some massive things in lakes.
Yeah. Which should I go into that?
Yeah,
Speaking of, I haven't started the series yet, but we will have a series. It's basically me. I'm gonna say that I'm Captain Ahab, and we're looking for Moby Dick because we have what we believe is a 5 foot catfish in my lake. Like, I have videos of this thing. He's seen it multiple times at this point.
and we've seen. He showed me the videos, and that's one thing. But I've seen the ripples in person,
And it's
and
swimming at me.
yeah, swimming towards the bank and then cutting off in a different direction.
It's fast.
And it's fast, and it's not something like we've pulled out some really big, probably what 2 foot catfish out of there.
I've pulled out a 2.5 footer before.
We've pulled out
Big,
some
big old
big
puppies.
catfish, and they don't even make the ripples the size of this thing.
Which in this video that I'm going to put up here, you'll see one of those 2 footers that's about this big swimming in the water, and you'll see the ripples that it makes compared to it whenever I zoom in on it. I mean, it's making a wake this wide. There it is. I have no idea what that thing is. That is freaking massive. There's a small cat. That thing is monstrously big.
But no, that catfish. I mean, I've seen it. Obviously, when things are on camera, you aren't really able to. Obviously, when you showed me the video, I could see where it was at, so I could kind of get a visual of how big it is. If someone's watching the video and don't know what it looks
Yeah,
like,
it don't look but
yeah.
when I was standing there recording the video, I was like, "There's a monster in the lake."
Yeah.
Like
And then when I saw it actually swimming, it was like you just saw this huge V. I mean, wider than my arms. You can't even,
massive.
it was just
Just
this huge V, and you could just see it. I mean, it was huge.
well, and not just that. When I was fishing, did it grab my line, or do you think it was another catfish? Because my rod went wham, and then it spit it
Well,
out.
that's what we were debating. I don't think it's on our channel or anything, but we have a video of the V kinda because you had a fish and I ran over with my camera. And what I think what
We
happened
stopped recording when I cast out to try and hook it in the back.
No, I think what happened is you got a catfish on your line, just a regular catfish, and then that big catfish was probably coming for that one that was on your line. And then when you reeled it in, the one that was on your line, the small one, popped off, and then we saw the massive one coming towards, and then came to the bank and kind of curved off. Because you didn't see the massive catfish, like you didn't see the V coming at your line while you were reeling in.
Yeah, sure.
But after you popped your line, like you reeled all the way back in.
So maybe I scared it. Maybe it was sitting there at the bottom, and
I
I
think
scared it.
so.
Because here's the thing: all of the little two footers that we catch on the channel, I can interject tons of videos. They all have scars on them,
Yeah.
like massive bite marks from something. And I'm not saying that there's just one catfish. I think there's a bunch of catfish that are good size in there. We just haven't caught yet. I had, I think the first time ever fishing in that lake, I had 30-pound test on the line, and I was reeling it right up at the dock, and it snapped the line.
Yeah.
Whether
When
it was that was either a really really big fat turtle, that was monster catfish.
when I get my kayak, I'd like to go out there. Because number one, I've never been in a kayak, so I kind of feel like I need to get my sea legs.
And you could do it there where
Yeah.
you ain't got to worry about nothing besides monster
Yeah, I was about to
catfish.
say, I don't know. It'd probably be better to do it like in Medi Park or something. But yeah, I don't know. It's we need to.
We'll have a series
Are you
about it
going
of
to
trying.
Lubbock tonight?
Yeah, I am. Why?
I'm gonna say we had time. I don't know what time it is. Getting a little late in the evening.
Well, what are you doing tomorrow and Monday? I know you're working on your insurance,
I
but
know that's the thing is like I really need to study for that exam. Like
we really need more content. We really need to get out there.
I know I'm so tempted to. Monday I gotta help Sarah's parents with. They just got like a new couch and stuff. So Monday I'm busy. Tomorrow I'm going to clean up for church.
But we could work something out tomorrow if you're going to be in Clarendon.
Well, the also issue is if we go out there, I want to catch that monster, but I need to have the equipment to, and I don't have the equipment, and I don't have the money to buy the equipment.
Yeah, we've toyed with the fact. We've recently switched over from using treble hooks to catching catfish because that's the best way. It hooks up the best, but they're a pain in the butt to get out. So we've switched over to large J hooks
Yeah,
and just pinch
pinching
down
the
the
bar
bar.
down, and they're usually pretty easy to get out.
But here's the thing: is that I was using a treble hook, and
Yeah.
that other. So I think the other catfish was pretty good size too. If he spit it out that easy,
Well, our theory is on this thing because obviously we need to make a series on this. We want to think what we came up with. Get a pretty large rod. I have a pretty big rod. You know which one I'm talking about? That
well,
huge
my ugly
Zebco.
sticks. Yeah, we need something.
I think that huge Zebco is good and it has pretty strong line on it, but I think we need to get very big test line. I don't know what would be ideal.
100 pound.
Yeah. And if it snaps that, then it's time to call in the infantry.
Yeah, because I mean, I may go noodling for this thing because I've there's videos of people pulling out catfish that are, they're 4 or 5 foot long. I'm thinking it's the size of that. It's not impossible for catfish to get that big.
I'm thinking it's for sure probably a 5 foot because when you think about it, we're catching what 2.5 is like that. That may be three, maybe 2.5 more like that. You think that plus another one. I want to say, I mean, 5 foot's probably that big. Would you say?
My arm span is 5 foot is like right there.
I mean, I just don't know if a catfish that size is making waves that big. Like, I feel like 5 is being conservative.
Yeah, that's the thing is that the little catfish are making little bitty wakes,
Yeah,
and they're 2 foot catfish. That's not a small fish by any means.
I
Like
think probably
that's
the smallest catfish we pulled out of there is probably what 18 inches.
yeah, still a
Yeah,
good sized fish. I mean, that's bigger than most bass that people catch.
I think what the plan is get big rod, big test line,
Big hook,
big treble hook.
and just load it up with like a
Yeah,
chicken, like
like
a chicken.
chicken breasts, whatever. Something that only something that big would eat.
We gotta bloody it up though. You know, we use
Yeah.
chicken liver to catch our catfish, and that works great. But we need like a big hunk of something.
Do you have to go to Lubbock tonight?
I already made plans like last week about it.
Hmm.
I could call it off. I could
What
be
time
like,
is it right
an
now?
emergency came up. We're about, we're talking about this.
6:36 though. The issue is,
If we get out there, it's already gonna be getting pretty dark already. We wouldn't have much
I
time.
know. I don't think it's feasible tonight.
We need to make a plan it better.
Yeah, because this thing, I mean, it's
I'm telling you, it's like Moby Dick. Like I'm Captain Ahab. He's the white whale that I have been trying to catch ever since I saw it. When was that video taken, you think?
not a year. It was during all the flood stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. We've seen large catfish, and even my mom will tell you that she's seen large wakes, but nothing like this. So I wonder if it got washed out from somewhere else whenever that flood happened. Like, I wonder if it was a big fish that got, I don't know. I mean, that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
Unless one of the fish just had a growth spurt.
I don't know. We're about an hour in. What are you thinking?
We're still talking. I was going
Yeah,
to say it'll wrap itself up naturally.
I think so too.
Unless there was
Yeah,
anything else like you didn't want to touch on, but
that's the thing is like I don't want to spill everything we have right now, but we
we
always come
definitely
up.
haven't.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, like, if we were to go back to, let's say, the scuba diving, for instance, like, I have stories of scuba diving that I could go into. Like, oh, I saw this and I did
Well, and
this.
also this podcast doesn't have to be all about outdoor. I mean, we can just tell whatever kind of stories too.
Yeah.
I think a podcast. I like podcasts because it's like me and you have had so many conversations where I know this is very cliche, but we're like, man, we had this on a podcast
So
format.
good.
It would be so good.
Yeah, because we just sit down and we talk for hours. Honestly, like we'll be fishing and just talking. I'm like, that would make a good podcast episode, and we talked about it.
Yeah,
Just sit there on the bank fishing while we do the podcast. Just sit there and
especially
talk.
when fishing is a little slow.
Yeah,
It would be nice to have a podcast where we're just sitting on the bank chit chatting. We got our mics. We're doing what we're doing.
yeah.
Dude, I am so tempted to wrap this thing up and we just go fishing and do like a part two podcast, do like a two-parter.
Oh yeah, do one while we're out there.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know, and I really need to be studying. Yeah, God, that's tough because I'm like,
we want to get out there. Like that's the thing.
yeah,
Like even sitting here, we're itching, and we're
I'm
like,
like itching because I want to go to academy. I want to get all this stuff that I don't have the money for. I mean, because you got to think about it. For us to get bait for that thing,
golly, yeah, we
and
got to go to Walmart and throw some steaks on there.
to be honest, I think what the plan is we get your kayak and we get the line, and I sit on the shore and just open up the line, and you just drag it out there and set it in the middle and
Yeah,
row
because
back
you're not
in.
gonna be able to cast it
No,
that
because
far.
if I cast it out there, we're gonna lose 20 pounds worth of meat in one cast. I think we need to obviously secure the meat on the hook, and then
What if
you
it tips my kayak and it eats me?
it'd make a
I'm
really
bigger than 5 foot, but still, I mean
it'd
that
make a
cat
really good story
make a great story and a great
that probably
video.
nobody would believe. I'd be like, no, he
No,
literally got ate by a catfish. They're
that's
like,
the thing
yeah,
is that my lake, it's really not that like it's a big lake for a private property, but it's not that big of a lake compared to other lakes. So it's insane to think that there's something like that in there.
Yeah, like it's bigger than a pond.
Yeah, it's by classification, it's a lake, but it's not like a large lake by any means. I
Yeah,
think measured tip to tip, it's like a 6 acre lake, I think. And then when it's full, it's like 7 acres.
yeah,
Most people, like some people would call that a pond, but like by classification, it's a lake.
yeah. I think that it's one of those things. Like I was telling my grandparents about it, and they were just kind of like, "Yeah, okay."
No one believes us.
I know, and it's like, but when I saw the waves, and for a second, it was when you showed me the video, I was like, "Yeah, I mean that's video evidence. I can't deny it." But I was like, I kind of want to see it to believe it. But then we saw the waves it was making, and I was like, okay, yeah, like
I wasn't BSing you.
no, I was like, it would be great because people could probably be listening to this podcast and be like, yeah, I want to see them pull that up, you know?
I want to see me pull it
Yeah,
up too. I
because
don't care who catches it out of us.
no, I don't.
If he catches it, like I will be recording and so ecstatic. I'm getting a picture with it.
Oh yeah, like we're gonna slay them. It would be one of those things where I think we'd have to set up the camera, and we're both figuring out how we're gonna get this thing to the bank.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. Like I'm gonna have to get there and like grab its fins or something and just like heave it up.
Yeah, yeah, it's not gonna be one of those things that we just reel in like a regular fish.
See, that's the cool thing about it is that it can make a great series of like tracking this thing down.
Yeah, and especially having like video of the waves and like kind of building the anticipation.
Once we if we get it in our hands, no one can be like, "Oh yeah, you never had a catfish that big." If we're holding it,
Yeah.
and then we'll put it back in there and let it breed so we can keep having large
Oh my
catfish.
gosh, yeah, you'd have to get it bigger. I don't know if there's enough water there for it.
If it's still alive.
Well, yeah, but like if
Well,
if it bred and had more like it.
oh yeah. Well, and you know the backside of the dam, um, that's the spillway. That technically opens up into another pond, and Dad even kind of toyed with the thought of opening that and making it bigger.
Yeah,
But here's the thing: is that we like the size and shape of the pond. He he was like, maybe we just have a secondary pond back there
yeah,
instead of it being one big one, because then you can fish it. Because that backside, when it's getting around this time, you're covered in shade.
I
Like you're
think
not out in the sun.
I think you should put another pond, but stock it with like bass and stuff because obviously,
I'm already gonna stock that one with more bass. We had them originally.
yeah. I don't know with how big those fish are, it'd be hard to raise fish in there. I feel like
I'd have to start off with some good sized bass.
yeah, you'd have to get like some 3 pounders or bigger.
Yeah. Which, bass and catfish are like the top predators of the pond. Bass are being the most voracious, but catfish gotta eat too.
Yeah, it's
Stock it up with perch, and if there's enough food though, the catfish would be satisfied. Satisfied. Like if
mm-hmm.
there's perch and bluegill in there, we could stock it up. But I have to plan it correctly because I have to put plants in there that'll help clear up the water. Like it's gonna be a whole process. But
Yeah, I think it'd be better just to start off with a different pond, kind of start from scratch.
get the skid steer out and just
Yeah,
which we even toyed with the idea, and it's funny that he brought up Howard Wick. Um, we toyed with the idea of getting some land out there and building a pond and having like the Babcock beer gardens where you just go out there and like we'd have a little bar and some picnic tables and just something like that. It'd be so cool to do.
and the land is cheap out there. The biggest thing would be getting water and electric out there. That would be the biggest issue.
But if y'all want to see that happen, make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah,
Shameless plug.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be cool to have our. Yeah, I just. But then again, it gets to a point where like fishing at your place, it gets to a point where I'm like, like
Because all we have is catfish.
yeah, it's like I want to go somewhere else and try other things.
Yeah. If we had more bass in there, I guarantee you it'd flip that switch.
Oh yeah,
Because bass, first of all, like catfish, fight hard, but not like a big bass does.
yeah,
Like bass just hammer that line hard. Catfish, like you'll be sitting there, and the way we fish is that you'll just set it at the bottom, and the catfish comes by, picks it up, and you'll just sit there and wait. And then eventually you'll feel the tug, and you set the hook. It's nothing like a bass, where if you're reeling it in and that bass slams that top water.
yeah. Because like when I've noticed with a lot of those catfish, at your place,
They're
like
kind of lazy.
you just end up dragging them in.
They're kind of lazy.
Like you just see them, like you can just drag them on top of the water.
The small ones fight the hardest.
Yeah.
The big ones just kind of sit there and like, eh.
Yeah. But no, like that feeling of when you get a good fighter on the line,
Nothing
you
beats
can't
it.
it like the adrenaline rush, like it's addictive.
People, that's what I don't get about people who are like, how could you be fishing for those poor animals and hurting them? Fish don't have the same nervous system as we do. They don't feel it like we do, first of
No.
all. Second of all, how about you go try and fish? You'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that anybody, if you fish one time
And they caught something. Because if they
yeah,
just go fish and they don't catch anything, they're gonna be like, this is stupid.
yeah, like when you catch something, it's the best feeling in the world. Like if you could bottle that up into a pill form, I would take that every day.
That's drugs.
Yeah, I'd start selling it.
Fishing in a bottle.
Yeah, it
Or
really is. It's so
bass
fun.
on the line in a bottle.
Yeah, and that's how I get about like when I'm like,
You know how many like husbands would be buying that? Like husbands that can't get away enough, and they're like, "Oh, my
yeah.
freaking wife is pissing me off."
So they go
Like,
to the
I'm gonna
bath.
take this
They
pill.
go to the bathroom like,
Oh man, that's a $1 million idea right there.
well, Adderall or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So something I have an idea for this podcast, like going forth. Um, I think like we could have like show and tell. Like, oh, I got this new fishing lure.
Yeah.
Like we could bring stuff and talk about it, and that'll also like help us with content first of all. And I can edit this out. Or I'll leave it in. That's for the Patreon, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we'll be like, oh yeah, I added this to my truck, or he's getting the kayak show and tell podcast episode.
And I'm ready. Honestly, I'd like to have a kayak just to, like, if I'm in Clarendon, like tomorrow or something, just take it out, just to take it out, just kind
Yeah.
of out on the water, hanging out. Not necessarily. I'd probably bring a fishing rod with me, dude. I want to go get one so bad.
I'm telling you, those ones at Academy are $300.
I know it's
That's
yeah.
not much.
Which I just had this trip. I was saving up for that trip anyways. And it was so easy saving up for that trip because it was like something that I wanted real bad. So it's like, okay, now just save up for this kayak. Easy
And
enough.
that gun, which that's going to be on the channel. Ethan's getting a couple new guns coming up for deer season. Y'all are gonna have a blast with that. You got a new shotgun. We haven't showed it at all on the channel. Your Benelli?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to. Next weekend, I'm gonna get my hunter safety course done, and then next weekend probably can't go dove hunting next weekend. Getting that done. It's gonna probably be till the end of September till I actually get around to
Hunting.
yeah, because obviously if I got the if I'm got to take this test.
We're both like stupid busy, but I think
Yeah.
it'll hopefully kind of slow down where we'll have more free time.
Which then again, I'm not a big fan of dove hunting when it's September and it's still hot.
Yeah,
I like dove hunting when it's cooler.
yeah. You get to wear the why am I going blank? The Carhartt. You get
Yeah.
to wear your big old thick Carhartt.
Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Because to
Even
me, it's
goose
like hunting is more of like a cooler weather thing, anyways.
except for hogs. Hog hunting, I mean, you can do year round.
Yeah.
I love if we got some content of hog hunting, I would love to do a video of like kill count, to where we show like each shot and we have like kill count up at the top. Have you seen those videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do something like that. I think that'd be an awesome video.
Yeah.
And you could do it like the kill count at the end of every year, So each video would have its own thing, but then you just add it to the very end video. That's like an hour and a half long video of the kill count.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like it's crazy because like if a lot of podcasts are about this and about that and whatnot, but like when it comes to a podcast or a YouTube channel in general like this, there's so many different ways to go about it, and it's like year round too. Like this summer, we started it in the summer, so it made sense that a lot of our videos are about fishing.
Yeah.
Now that we're getting into the fall months, now all of our videos are going to be more about hunting.
Unless we start making money and we get to travel, then we could be doing fishing in the winter, for pike and stuff like that, muskie, and then going to Mozambique in the summer Which I don't know if I'd want to do that. We'd have to figure out like what months are cool down there.
Probably none.
None. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. There's a outfitter here that will do trips to Africa.
Really.
Yeah, I think. Not positive on it, but
I
I think
know my granddad Bots does those hunts for the retired veterans. That'd make a great video. Doing a video on
mm-hmm.
that because he's like the biggest sponsor for that. And all of these retired veterans, they take them out on hunts, and that's coming up here pretty quick.
Is he a vet?
Bots?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because they get to hunt before everybody else.
Yeah.
They get like early access basically.
See, and we can just do a tag along. I think we get to hunt as well, like if you were to come with us. But obviously, like the vets get first.
No, like they do it like their season opens early. I don't think we'd get to do it. Like you know how like archery season kind of starts
Yeah.
before like rifle season. It's like that. Like the vets have their season
Well,
first.
maybe I'm thinking about later in the season because they do several hunting trips.
Yeah.
Because Bots has told me that he got to go hunting with them.
Oh yeah.
So I bet you that was later on.
Another thing that we could do,
And that's another thing, like support the vets. You
yeah,
know, like we're huge veteran supporters and military supporters.
another thing that we could do, which like I said, it's probably not gonna be till the end of September till I go dove hunting anyways. But I was thinking like if it was next weekend or something like that, or even in the summertime, we could do like skeet shooting. Go out to my grandparents or
Yeah.
something and just skeet shoot and set the because I love skeet shooting. I think it's good practice. I love it. It's good sport. It's good harmless fun.
Man, you know what? You know what sucks? And you and I have had this conversation about how we are going to be the next in line to revitalize it. Um, our family used to like every year for Thanksgiving and for Christmas used to go hunting. Like the Babcocks, like Dad said that he grew up where they would go hunting. They
Oh
would bring that in, and that's what they would have for the Thanksgiving or even
yeah,
Christmas meal. And I'm like, why don't we still do that?
yeah, yeah.
Do you know
Well,
how
but then
awesome
it
that'd be?
it also gets to the point where here it's like a lot of the wildlife is getting kind of scarce with how the drought is.
Yeah,
The hunting is not what it used to be, and I've even noticed it in my lifetime.
sucks.
Yeah,
Honestly, still see some big old bucks though. I saw one the other day.
yeah. I saw what did I see? In Clarendon.
I'd say bird is really the one that gets scarce. Nothing else really gets scarce around here.
Well, Clarendon is weird because I don't ever hardly see any deer or anything in Clarendon. Now around Groom, that area, there's a lot more of that
They're
stuff.
all corn fed.
Yeah, but in Clarendon, it's more of like a like livestock town than agricultural. Like the way I look at it is like Groom is more uh, crop, Clarendon is more like cows.
Yeah, I mean that makes
Which
sense.
Groom is more flat around there. Clarendon is a little bit more hilly.
Yeah, I mean if you ever go up towards Groom, you'll see some big old corn fed deer. Nothing like in Kansas. There are some big deer in Kansas.
Yeah,
I've seen some big old bucks.
I like Kansas. I've been up there
I do
one
too.
time. I went
See, that's
to
another. That's a weekend trip we
yeah.
could take,
They got good dove hunting there.
and that's the cool thing with Shoot Swift is that we're talking about this. I'm kind of changing the subject, but I'm going back. Um, as you were saying, we don't have to just do hunting, fishing, and shooting. Like trucks, cars, we love vehicles. We could
Yeah,
do
like
reviews on stuff.
and like in the last video, the Colorado trip, like only some of it was about fishing. Like I went to the Cave of the Winds too. We didn't go to Pikes Peak.
Oh, did you record any of the Cape of the Wind stuff?
No, I
It's pretty dark in there. It's kind of hard
it
to record.
is, and it kind of got to the point where like we got to Colorado and I instantly started getting content. That way I could kind of stop and relax.
Yeah,
You know, obviously if we're like let's say in the future we're going to Africa to go hunt and we're doing it because we want to film. That's a different thing. But also like this trip, it was I wasn't taking this trip just to get content. I was taking this trip because it was a trip for me and my girlfriend. But I was like, this is a good thing to get content. So I was like, okay, let me knock that out of the way because it is kind of a when you're catching fish pretty often. There was a lot of fish that we caught that we didn't record just because I was like, we got enough.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, I want to stop and I want to actually enjoy the trip without recording. So it was just a few days of like fishing and hiking and stuff that I recorded, and then the Cave of the Winds and stuff like that. I didn't. But
Did you bring home any of that trout?
no.
Why not?
Well, because we weren't able to stay at the cabins there, we had to stay in the hotel in Carlos, so
Oh,
didn't have a freezer.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Because you would have definitely filled up your freezer.
Oh, we could have done like a catch and cook video here.
That would have been so sick.
Yeah.
We have tons of plans for the channel. Like that's all coming very soon. Um, we're in it for the long haul. But catch, clean, and cook is definitely one of them. We'll do that like when we hunt. You know, and you were saying like talking about Africa and all that, like with the content. I would hope by then we have our own videographer where
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about it. Like they just record us doing our thing, and we
Yeah.
get to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, because obviously, if we were to go to an African trip, it'd be something that Shoot Swift would be paying for,
Yeah,
and at that time, it'd be like worth having a camera crew or something like that.
yeah. I'm gonna for deer hunting this year, or even um, dove hunting, or any bird fowl. I'm gonna mount my GoPro like you see in the intro. I had it mounted on my AR, um, but I'm gonna mount it on my 243. That way, like y'all will be able to see exactly what I'm aiming at. I don't have a scope camera yet; those are expensive. But this is about as good as it'll get, and you'll still get a good shot of what we're doing. And I'll probably either wear a chest rig or something.
And I think with these mics, obviously if you're deer hunting, you're sitting in one place, and even really with dove hunting, you're sitting in one place. So we could set up a camera, have a GoPro where we're getting different angles, have the mics. Obviously the mics are really going to only be on the phone, but I think it'll kind of be good for the hunting aspect because we're sitting in one place.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be kind of more like a podcast, but hunting,
Which would be sweet.
Yeah.
I've always that ridge that we've talked about of going to get a buck there. I've always wanted to just sit out there and go coyote hunting.
Yeah.
Which we have so many stories. We're gonna have to save that specific story.
Yeah, let's
for another
save
time.
that story because that one's a good one.
But still, like that area, like I want to go get some coyotes on that ridge. We have great land to go do anything we want.
I think the next time we go coyote hunting, we should do it when there's a little bit more light.
Like start at dusk.
Yeah, because I think when we're going so dark, when we're going at midnight,
they spot us before we even.
Yeah,
I've killed coyotes in the pitch black, but
right.
I almost wonder if it's just luck.
Yeah,
coyotes are hard to hunt.
And I feel like at dusk, if we were sitting on the ridge of that canyon, and we've
You'd be able to see them.
We'd be able to see them. We could, even if we're wearing camouflage to kind of conceal ourselves, just call them in there where we can see them better.
And that'll bounce off the ridge too. It'll sit there and echo, so they'll really hear it.
I think that's the move next time we go is do it like at dusk where there's still daylight where we can see. Because also, if we're doing it at night and we're calling them, who knows how close they are, but we can't see them.
Yeah. Well, you want to tell stories, I'll tell that one because it's not that we have hundreds of others. We were out at this piece of land that we're talking about, and we saw the eye shine. There were coyotes around us. They were just too far, and we had only 22s with us.
We didn't have. I brought my AR, so I packed up one weekend, went to his house, and I had my AR and 22. And for some reason, we just decided to take the 22s out at midnight.
I don't know what we were thinking about rabbit hunting, I think.
Yeah. And so we're sitting there, and I was in like a hoodie and shorts like this, and in Crocs too. Like I was
dressed just like this, basically.
I was not prepared to go hiking down in a canyon with a 22, which it's like if I'm going to go out and put myself in that situation where I can't see anything, I'd like to at least have a high caliber rifle.
Yeah.
And so we had a spotlight, had a coyote call, decided to get out of the truck, and it was like early spring, so it was getting pretty cold.
Yeah, it was still chilly.
And the wind was blowing, so it made it even worse. And we were spotlighting, we were seeing quite a few eyes around us, but just not close enough to be able to take there was no point in shooting. Like we just saw the eyes, we couldn't see how far away they were or nothing.
You can kill a coyote with a 22, but from that distance, I mean, it just wasn't feasible.
But the amount of eyes that it was probably,
5 or 6,
yeah, probably, yeah, I'd say,
probably more that we didn't see down in the canyon.
yeah, I'd say 5 to 10 coyotes around us,
Yeah,
probably 50 yards away.
which is funny because my first review, I think it's the same pack because my review on my everyday carry, you hear the
Yeah,
coyotes in the background, and I say, sorry, like I'm listening for the coyotes. It's the same pack that always comes up.
yeah. But that place that we were talking about, we're actually sitting in that canyon. I think is a better position where we were in this story.
Yeah, because they can just slip down in there and we'd lose them.
Yeah,
But if we're on that ridge,
and when it's dusk, where we can see them and see how far away they are, because obviously we had 22s. We just had spots. We were just seeing the eyes, but I'd say they were probably about 50 yards away with the spotlight.
oh no, they were further than that. They were way
See,
out there.
and if they're within 100 yards and it's dusk and we can see them, and we're down that canyon, I'd feel comfortable taking that shot with an AR.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the thing is that you can talk to anybody who hunts coyotes, and they'll tell you hunting coyotes is hard.
Yeah,
Even if you're upwind and everything, they're just smart.
yeah,
They
they
can
are
scent you,
smart.
they see you. I mean, you have to either get like a really stupid coyote or you got to catch them off guard. You got to be really smart whenever you're hunting
That's
coyotes.
why I think if we go set up towards the
Get
end of
get
the
the
day,
jump on them.
yeah, towards the end of the day, like let's say if it's like around the fall time and the sun's going down at 6, get out there at like 5.
Bring the barbecue out so we sit there with our hot dogs grill. That'll bring them in.
Yeah,
Don't tell
but
me that wouldn't bring in a coyote. It may. I mean,
I
worth
don't
a
know.
shot.
But sit there, call them in. Park the truck, walk down there,
Yeah,
call them in. Kind of be in a discreet area where they can't necessarily
like
just see us.
nestled back in.
Yeah,
There's tons of little ridges and stuff where it
yeah.
curves back.
I think if we can actually see them, we can take that shot. That's. But yeah, I've always wanted. I've never shot a. I've shot a coyote, but I was younger.
Yeah,
Um, but I would love to. I mean, they're just people don't realize, especially if you're not from this area. Coyotes and hogs are not just something cool to look at.
yeah. They're a nuisance.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I'd say especially. It depends. Like especially hogs, like they tear up land. They will kill calves. Like
they'll tear up fences.
I mean, they just tear up everything and they overpopulate.
They're like a tornado that just sits in an area for a while.
Yeah,
Because I've seen an area on my grandparents' land where it had to have been a hog that was like kind of burrowing on this dirt.
yeah, sitting there
Dug,
rooting for the tubers.
yeah, dug probably a hole that deep. What else would have done that?
Hog.
Maybe a badger.
Yeah, but the badgers make a circular hole that's
Yeah,
in the
this
fence
was
row.
like
A scrape,
yeah.
then that's hog for sure.
And when you're thinking about that, that was probably one hog that did it, and it's not farmland, so it's not a big deal. It's nothing. But when you think you got a crop and you've got a whole herd of wild hogs doing that, it's
That's I don't even want to talk about the money side of that.
yeah. I mean, it's just
Tens of thousands of dollars right there.
yeah.
Well, and I think in Texas, like, is it a billion now? Like billions of dollars are lost to hogs every year.
Oh yeah. I mean, hogs are just they run rampant. They they reproduce like rabbits.
Yeah,
I
which
mean,
is why they don't have a limit or you don't require a license to kill them
and
because
it
they are
goes
a pest.
yeah, it goes back to the conservation. There's no season on hogs because they're so plentiful that it doesn't require one. Because you could get everybody in Texas to go kill as many as you wanted to,
And
like
they
all the
just
hunters in Texas,
repopulate.
and they'll just repopulate, and there will probably never be a season on them because of how fast they reproduce.
Unless they start like depleting the soil of nutrients and everything and they
Yeah,
leave.
and
But then
that
it's another state's problem.
yeah, but then you got to think about it. That's another issue. If they start still, not even crop, but just grassland, what other animals eat this grass? Deer, rabbits, all these other animals that are eating this
Runs them
grass
out.
runs them out because the hogs are taking over. They're invasive.
Yep.
So that's another part of the conservation side is that and coyotes. I mean, kill cattle.
Yeah. That especially whenever we raise yearlings and they're calving, like that's whenever you really hear the coyotes come up and they'll try. I mean, not just that. I mean, they kill pets, dogs. I'm
Yeah,
lucky that I have two big hunting dogs that can
yeah.
take them.
You know, it'd
But
be kind of a crazy way to bait in some uh coyotes. Just take like a yearling and put them down in that, tie them up down and like put them on
oh yeah,
you know, put them on a lead and put them on like a fence post down there, and have that yearling calling for its mom, and the mom calling for that, and the coyotes are gonna hear like, oh, it's by itself. Let's go get it because
I've
it's
seen
defensive.
people. They don't tie them up, but they keep them like in a pen, and
Hmm.
they use their thermals, and they sit there and like they're great shots, by the way. And they'll sit there with their thermals through the cattle. You'll see the coyotes running trying to get them, and they'll just pop them. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
But the thing is, you got to make sure you ain't gonna shoot a calf or something like that.
yeah. That's and you're yeah, that's more money. But yeah, it's crazy. Like when I saw that burrow that hog made, and I was like, if you because I've seen videos and stuff, and I've even witnessed it myself. When you see hogs out on a field, and there's just 40 of them in a circle, and if they're just sitting there rooting up stuff, they can tear up a crop in a night.
Yeah,
It's crazy, and it is kind of a sport because it's like, oh, they're so easy just to shoot.
and they're fun. Like one of
Yeah,
my favorite types of hunting is hog hunting.
and the reason I think I like it too is because it's like you're kind of doing something good.
Yeah, you don't feel guilty at all for
Yeah,
killing these things because
because it's like that's especially with like around your house, like those crops are y'all's livelihood.
yeah, exactly. I mean, cattle, everything, and it's the thing is that hogs are nasty, and I don't. Yeah, they're nasty, but I mean, like they eat everything. Like
They'll eat everything but leather boots.
I don't. I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even say that because there's like videos of them killing calves. Like they kill. They're not just omnivorous or anything. Omnivores are the worst. You hear Joe Rogan talk about that with bears. Like omnivores are the worst because they don't kill you quickly. They sit there and they'll shred at you. Hogs are the same way, only they don't really. They'll attack people, but they don't like kill you because we're smart and they dumb.
Yeah,
But no, like they're nasty creatures.
yeah,
And I mean, their tusks, like when I've been hog hunting, we lost dogs to them and they were wearing Kevlar vests. And I mean, it just rips into their. And I know this is getting a little gruesome, but it's, they're mean.
yeah, yeah. All the people that are like against hunting and against hog and coyote hunting, like if you haven't been around it and see what they can do, you
Yeah.
know, that's another reason why that night when we just had 22s, I'm like, yeah, let's get out of here because 22 isn't going to do
Well,
nothing to a hog.
if we're going to tell that story, we might as well tell the whole part of it.
Yeah, I mean, might as well.
Um, while we were there and we saw the eye shine, this was probably 30 minutes after the coyotes left. We were still walking out there. We were probably 100 yards from the truck.
Yeah,
And I'm going to say it was a hog. I don't know what it was because it didn't sound. It sounded like something I'd never heard before.
yeah,
But we're sitting there with our 22s and we start hearing this thing like scream at us. But it was like a low grumble.
yeah. It was like so we were kind of on the edge of the, not really in the canyon, but it was kind of like a almost like a creek part.
Yeah,
There was like a tree down there, and I think Cutter was like, "Oh, let's go down there because there could be like raccoons in the trees or something."
yeah. I wanted to shoot some coons.
And we're sitting on the edge of the canyon, and it's like windy, so the wind's like coming at our back, and I just hear like this grumbling noise. And I thought I was the only one that heard it,
No,
so I looked behind me with a flashlight because I thought I heard it like behind me, and it sounded like a yeah, like I don't even know how to describe. It was like a just a grumbling noise.
and I would say it was a hog, but it really didn't sound like a hog. Like
And
I don't know
and
what it
I thought
was.
I was the only one that heard it. Then I told Cutter, I was like, "Did you hear that?" He's like, "Yeah, that grumbling noise." And I was like, "Okay, so." Because I didn't say, "Oh, I heard a grumbling noise." I was like, "Did you hear that?" And you were like, "Yeah, that grumbling noise."
Well, and we took a step forward and it did it again. That's the thing that kind of weirded you out.
Yeah, because I was like, number one, if it is a hog, we have 22s.
We're screwed.
Yeah, and those things, yeah, they may not be able to kill us, but they really mess us up.
Yeah, we'd be pretty cut up and probably receiving some stitches.
Yeah,
And I'd be pulling out my knife trying to stab it in the forehead.
and so like the noise that it made was just kind of, it was real creepy.
I still
Whatever
don't
it
know what
was,
it is.
I mean, there's been sightings of mountain lions around there.
Bobcats, which bobcats are shrill whenever
Yeah,
they.
they have a real like high pitch. It was like that grumble noise, but high pitch.
You know what? It was a skinwalker.
Oh, he said it.
Yeah, but it's not dark yet. and I didn't whistle.
It was really weird. It was one of those things that the hair
On
on
the
my neck
back,
stood
that means
up.
you're being watched, and we couldn't see it.
That's it. I know this sounds so weird, but that was the feeling. That's why I checked behind us, because it was like it felt like we were being watched by something.
And it probably saw us since we got out. And those
Yeah.
coyotes, like, I almost wonder if they didn't come close because of what that was, not just us.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was weird. I don't know.
That's another thing. I want to figure out what it is.
It didn't sound like a hog. It didn't sound like a bobcat.
Unless it was a mountain lion grumbling, which then we really would have been screwed with 22s. Like, I'm not messing with that. I'm sorry. With an AR, I'd be perfectly comfortable. I'm just gonna shoot it. And then I started blasting, you know?
My theory is that it was a mountain lion, which there are. I mean, I haven't seen a mountain lion, but I have seen pictures of lion mountains. Lion mountains.
Lion mountains.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of lion mountains in the panhandle. Like they are here.
They're big too.
And yeah, they're not little house cats.
No. Well, the thing that's weird is that I've done some research, you know, because I've wanted to shoot a mountain lion. There's not a uh hunting license, or you don't have to get anything for mountain lions either. So I wanted to hunt one, but their radius, just the radius of their territory, is like 90 miles. So that's 180 miles circle that it can go.
Yeah.
So that one mountain lion, like it could be in Timbuktu by tomorrow.
Well, isn't diameter radius squared?
Yes.
It'd be 1,800 miles.
No, it's not radius.
Circle.
No, because radius is just from here to here, and the diameter is all the way across.
Yeah.
So it's just double.
Yeah, but you're talking about a 360.
That's circumference.
Yeah.
We're not trying to get into math.
Anyways,
I hate math.
If it's 90, if it's 180, if it's 1,800, that thing, if it was a mountain lion in that position where we were at, where we would have heard it, there's no telling what its area is, and what are the odds that we'll ever come across it again.
I don't know. I've seen and heard of sightings around Groom constantly.
Yeah. My guess is that it was a mountain lion, just because of the way that it.
Which we didn't tell anybody either. We didn't.
I mean, we told your mom, and she kind of suggested mountain lion too.
I think, yeah.
Because I was like, it's not. I've never heard a mountain lion, but I was going through the things that I have heard. I'm like, not a rabbit, not a coyote, not a wild hog, not a bobcat, wasn't a deer. I mean, what else is in that area?
Mountain lion.
Mountain lion.
Skinwalker, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a raccoon doesn't make that noise.
It's Skinwalker or mountain lion, one of the two.
So,
Bigfoot.
Could be Bigfoot.
Could be Bigfoot.
Too bad we didn't bring our blurry cameras.
Hey, man, you're talking to someone who believes.
I just think that the issue is just Bigfoot's blurry.
Bigfoot is blurry. Yeah.
Well,
you want to wrap it up?
I think that wraps up the first episode.
I think that was a great start. We didn't even no script. We just said, "Come over, we're doing this podcast."
That's how the podcast should be.
It's natural.
Yeah. I think if we start getting to the point where we're like writing things down and figuring out what we're going to talk about, it's going to get awkward
and tedious. It's going to feel like work.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I like to feel like we're just chilling.
And it's nice to like get these stories like that catfish, that mountain lion, get those stories out, because it's like we can tell as many people as we want to, but they're probably not going to believe us. But it is cool to get it out there. And if we did pull out that catfish or did pull out a mountain lion, it'd be like, look, see?
Yeah. Y'all just wait. I got Skinwalker stories and Bigfoot stories, so y'all may not believe. Y'all just wait.
We'll make believers out of them.
Yeah. All right, well, this has been the first episode.
Are we going to, like on the video, are we going to plug the links, like to Instagram and stuff?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and throw that up probably here. I'm pointing here, wherever.
Yeah.
Instagram here. We'll link any. I'll actually put the videos in the description. Or no, I'll just put the videos in the video.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how you did that in the last one where you like overlapped like what you were talking about. You could see
Yeah.
it. That was cool.
My editing's been getting better. But yeah, this has been the first Shoot Swift podcast episode, and I'll figure out a title for it. Something cool and catchy.
I think it should be like Monster Fish,
Conspiracies, something and more.
Monster Fish, and Skinwalkers.
Yeah, just.
Oh.
But yeah, y'all be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell.
All right, we want to hear your hunting, fishing, and life stories. So email us at
shoot.swift.outdoors@gmail.com.
must be 18 years or older to order.
Yeah. No, but really, we want to hear your mudding stories, truck stories, going out, killing varmints. It doesn't have to be hunting. It could just be crazy outdoor stories, Bigfoot, skinwalkers, and we don't care. We want to hear all the crazy stuff. We don't care.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra for sure.
And if you email us, there's a good, there's probably 100% chance that your story will be put in our next video or podcast.
Yeah, starting small, but we'll get there. We want to hear it. So hit us up at 0800 HO.
Gotta get lubricated.
We